Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Wednesday, October 20th, and I'm Blair Kirchhoff. Big 12 women's and men's basketball coaches were in Kansas City Tuesday and Wednesday for the annual media days. We met at T-Mobile Center. The last time we had one of these, the building was known as Sprint Center. All the league coaches and a couple of players from the schools were here to discuss the upcoming season and more. And on today's show, you'll hear from three men's coaches. Kansas' Bill Self will kick it off. We hear from Self from the question and answer session with reporters, and the questioning revolves around this season, how the Jayhawks, a team with several newcomers, are coming together, and what it's like to once again be the conference favorite. In this setting, Self wasn't asked about the ongoing NCAA investigation into the basketball program. I asked Athletic Director Travis Goff about this at the event earlier in the day, and he said he couldn't comment. Beat writer Jesse Newell reported earlier this month that sometime in the first few months of 2022 is when KU could hear a report from the Independent Accountability Review process. After a break, you'll hear portions of my interviews with Kansas State's Bruce Weber and Baylor's Scott Drew. So let's get going with Bill Self at the podium for Big 12 Media Days.
Coach, welcome, and your thoughts about the upcoming season.
Well, first of all, it's good to be out in public and being social and good seeing most of you guys. But I'm excited. I like our team. I think we've added some experience. We've added some athleticism, hopefully some shooting. And the league was so terrific last year. And, of course, with Baylor being the elite of the elite, I think this year's league has an opportunity to be every bit as good as what it has been in the past. And I know everyone's looking forward to that challenge.
Coach David Smale, Associated Press. Just to follow up, we were just talking about Baylor, the defending national champions, is picked third this year. Every year you guys talk about this being the best conference in the country. Is it even better this year?
Well, I think that we talk about it being the best conference, but I think it's proven by data as well as being the hardest or the toughest conference in America. I think, over the last 6 or 7 years, if you were going to take what our conference strength is over those particular years, I mean, we'd rate out at 1.4 or 1.6, whatever it'd be. So I think a lot of people feel that way, but this year has a feel that I don't know that we've ever had. Maybe we have, but have we ever had three in the preseason top 8 AP in the country? Maybe we have. I don't know, but it's going to be a great league, and I guarantee you there's teams that were receiving votes or whatever that are top 25 teams as well. So this will be as good as it's been, at least in my recollection.
Coach Mackenzie Nelson with the local NBC affiliate. Remy Martin named preseason player of the year. What is he going to add to your squad? Also, Ochai and David received honors as well. Just how do you feel about them and the team so far? Well,
first of all, I'm happy that all my guys get recognition whenever it is. Preseason really doesn't mean squat. The one way that guys can get recognition is in this particular league. We've lost a lot of players that were impact players in our league, but we've also had a lot of people replace them with impact players that maybe weren't given the preseason notoriety that I think some of them deserve. But I think all my guys deserve to be recognized. I think Remy is a guy that adds an energy, a speed, a fun way that others will enjoy playing with him. I think he's pretty darn good at playing fast, and I think he can create some plays that you can't coach. It's different for him than what it was at ASU, not because of anything that they did wrong or that we do right. It's just a different philosophy and a different system that he's still not quite accustomed to, that he's got to get comfortable with. But when he does, he's got a chance to be one of the better players around.
Hey, Coach, Sam Lentz with 24/7 Sports. I read a couple days ago that you said you could possibly play a 10-man rotation this year. Could you just comment on how unique that is for you as a coach and why you think you could play 10?
Well, we played 9 a lot. Not so much recently, but when we played 2 bigs, I always played 5 guards and 4 bigs, and I really didn't care if we got in foul trouble because that forced somebody else to get an opportunity to play. So it's not quite like that now because we're playing 4 guards. It'll be harder to get to 10 when I'm talking about 10 guys having a chance to play double-figure minutes, but the challenge isn't going to be playing 10. To me, the challenge is how do you get from 14 to 10? Because this is, 1 through 14, we probably never had a team with as many guys that are pretty similar to the other guys, and trying to determine who's going to actually play will be the challenge. So, there could be red shirts, things like that. We don't know that yet, but I think it'll be a challenge playing 10, but if we can play as fast as I'd like to play, I don't think it'll be something that'll be near as challenging as what maybe some other people think.
Coach, Adam Dravetta from KLWN. On the topic of your depth, you've said before in various years that if you're winning, the pie's big enough for everybody. Does this seem like a group that's buying in well to that so far?
I think so, but we haven't played a game, and the thing about it is I love our roster. I'm not downplaying that at all, but you don't have a roster that people are looking at. Top 10 picks, lottery picks, things like that. You're looking at we got a bunch of guys that are good basketball players. And so one thing I would like to see that we haven't seen yet is some separation. And it always occurs, but it just hadn't occurred yet. So right now, I think, it's different. Right now, there's nobody unhappy because in practice, you have to play 10. You have to play 10 in practice. And then sometimes the people that are on the court in practice, they just feel like, well, that's just the way it will be in a game. But in a game, you can only play 5. And so I still think we have to probably get into the season to see how all that'll play out. But if we don't have that mentality that, we put winning first, and if we win enough, we'll all benefit from it. If we don't have that mentality, then this team won't be as good as it can be. And all of our best teams in the past have always had that mentality.
Just wanted to ask, you guys have been named, the team to beat. Does that add any extra pressure to your team as you enter the season? We've heard you say before that, rankings preseason doesn't really matter until we get closer to tournament time. But do you feel any added pressure?
No. We've been picked fairly high most years. And so I think from a staff standpoint, it doesn't really mean much at all. I would say this, I would rather be picked high than not picked high. But the reality of it is right now it's a coin flip. How do you know how quickly teams with so many newcomers are going to gel together? So everybody, to me, looks good on paper. And we probably look as good as anybody on paper because we return guys where most of the other programs don't return as many guys. So it doesn't mean anything to me. But, I think when you play at Kansas and you coach in this league, pressure is something that's usually good. If you can't deal with that type of pressure, then you're probably not going to be able to deal with real pressure later on.
Hi, Coach Jordan from the NBC affiliate in town. What was it like having Allen Fieldhouse really packed with fans at late night? Since you said this past summer to me that it was really hard on your players not having, Allen Fieldhouse what it should be, which is full of fans.
Unless you're a junior, unless you're Christian Brown's age, nobody's felt what it's like to play Kansas. You end the season in the pandemic year, ranked number 1. You have momentum going into the next year, and then the next year obviously didn't play out probably the way we had hoped, nor was it near as much fun. And then you recruit a recruiting class, so we got 8 newcomers, and none of them have felt what it's like to play at Kansas, and none of them visited. So they didn't even get a chance to feel the energy or things like that because last year there was obviously no visits during COVID, or during the pandemic, excuse me. So I think everybody has a home court advantage, don't get me wrong, but one of the things that makes it special about playing at our place is that we feel like that ours is unique in many ways, and they haven't had this chance to experience any of that uniqueness. So I don't even know if 10 of our 14 scholarships even knows what it's really like to play ball at our place.
Conversely, what's it going to be like for players who have never had to play at Allen Fieldhouse wearing the wrong jersey?
Well, first of all, I think that one of the things about playing in a hostile environment that's full, it brings the best out in your opponents too. If you were to ask any of our guys, if when we go on the road, would you rather play in a packed house that's juiced against a good team, or you rather play somewhere where we have to generate our own energy? Everyone would say, let's go to the packed place. So I think sometimes the home court advantage is definitely a home court advantage, but the home court advantage many times brings out the best in opponents as well.
Hey, Bill, Chip Brown with Horns 24/7. Just want to get your thoughts on Beard at Texas and what he was able to do in terms of attracting the transfers.
Well, I mean, Chris walked into, of course, he's done an unbelievable job, and he's a friend. So I've known him for a lot of years, going way back to his Fort Scott days, and I was at Tulsa. Always thought he did a terrific job. Well coached, well drilled. Teams play hard, very hard. He walked into a great situation that was also obviously a very tough situation. So you go into a situation where you maybe return 4 or 5 guys and maybe not even know if you were going to return all 4 or 5 guys. That's hard. But then it also opens up doors from a transfer portal standpoint that, I can sell playing time. I can sell certain things. So I think in many ways, Chris and his staff may have benefited from the portal as much and done the best job of anybody in the country in the portal. I would be shocked if it's that way every year, because he's going to recruit the best high school kids too. But he did. He and his staff. I know Chris. I know he doesn't work that hard, but he and his staff, I think, have done a marvelous job in maximizing the situation that they went into last year.
That was KU basketball coach Bill Self. Now let's catch up with Bruce Weber of Kansas State. The Wildcats got off to an abysmal start last season and took themselves out of postseason possibility pretty early. But as the season progressed, K-State improved, and by the time the Big 12 tournament rolled around, nobody wanted to play the Wildcats. They took Baylor to the wire in the Big 12 tournament quarterfinals, and all Baylor did was go on to win the NCAA title. I got a chance to chat with Weber, who's about to begin his 10th season in Manhattan. Did you know that only Jack Hartman and Tex Winter have won more games than Weber at Kansas State? They're also the only coaches who have been to more NCAA tournaments at K-State. So let's get started with Bruce Weber. Just tell me how much you like the team this year.
We really like them. I'll be, and I think if you talk to our guys, I didn't know, and to add some, two freshmen, high school kids, and then add 3 portal guys, which is, I think, going to be the norm. I don't know every year, but I think it's probably going to happen. It's just going to be the way college basketball is, at least for the next stretch. Chemistry is an issue. Culture is an issue. And amazingly, the 3 additions, the 3 older guys, have bought in. They love being there. They've been really good culture guys. They're really happy. So, and that, our chemistry, I asked our coaches, like we were doing right before started practice, the strengths, weaknesses. And the first thing everyone said was togetherness, chemistry, which is, and again, that's a fear factor. And so we tried to, that was one of our goals over the summer, to get them to know each other. We did a lot of activities, team building stuff. And, it's been positive so far. We needed to add experience, which we did. We got a 5th-year guy, and Mark, we got Ish is a, 3rd-year guy. Marquise is a, 3rd, 4th-year guy. So you got older guys. We needed to make some baskets, and we added shooting. Now can we get them to play defense like we want? I don't, we'll wait and see on that. But I think we have good depth, we got good guards. The 2 big guys got to stay healthy. That'll be a key.
I saw a lot of Mark Smith last year at Missouri, and I know what his game is. And hey, Bob, tell me about him and what you really like, and he's going to step right in and be a factor.
Well, the surprise for me, one, I recruited Mark. I think we were the first ones to offer out of high school. And obviously Coach Lowry knows his dad real well, Southern Illinois ties. And so we have a, pretty good relationship with him. And the great thing is Mark is, I say, are you happy every day? He loves to be in the gym. He's got a smile. Good young man, great team guy. And, I thought like he's 22, 23 years old. He might not want to, but he loves, all that team kind of building stuff. He hopes to expand his game, like all guys, and be able to have the ball a little more. He obviously he's a good shooter. The thing that surprised me is his athleticism. He is a very good athlete. Now can he, I think learn to take care of the ball, and that's going to be the big step for him if he wants to expand his game. Just making good decisions and expect. So, but he physically, it's just unbelievable. He's, about 230. He can, he's like our power forward as a guard, so he can do a lot of different things.
Hey, it's Blair. We have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns presented on the kansascity.com site, and it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. Your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star, and that support has never been more important. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening. I know that expansion is going to be a big topic here today. Big 12 is going to lose 2. They're going to bring in 4. The 4 they're bringing in, at least 3 of them I know, historically strong, currently strong, and the 4th one is, been in the NCAA tournament the last couple of years. Yes. So this league's going to get even better, isn't it? Yeah, it is. And I don't know if it's better, but first of all, it's a really good league, and I don't think we get the credit nationally that we should. And you lose 2, and in recruiting, for 2-3 months there, we were getting killed. But I kept telling them, who's won the league? Texas hasn't won the league in the last 10. Oklahoma hasn't won the league in the last 10. The ones that have won the league, from Kansas to ourselves to Texas Tech to Baylor, they're all still there. So the main group is there. So, so I think, we had a good base. I'm happy we stayed together. But as you said, they added some pretty good teams, and they needed population base. They needed viewership, and I think that hopefully for the future for a contract, it's a real positive thing. It's been a couple down years. Last year, a down year for the program. It's going to be tough just with 3 in the top 10 already this year, just to because that's what this league is. It's every year since I've been here, you always say, can it be better? You keep thinking it can't, but it seems to be, and you have teams in and out, move with. I think ironically, we beat Baylor 5-6 times in a row. And now they beat us 5 times in a row or whatever. So, you have your flows, one way or the other. And 2 years ago, we were a handful of points away from, and we should have been better. We, it easily could have been an NIT team and maybe an NCAA team. But last year, it was what it was. It was surviving. It was, regrouping, rebuilding, and again, to our kids' credit, they, we were pretty good at the end. And early in the season, a media guy asked me, he said, "It looks like you haven't practiced."
And I said, we haven't. And I said, you can't, if you don't have guys in the gym, you can't practice. And we had guys play their first Division I game with, 3-4 practices. And you can't, and then, we end up playing Drake and Colorado, 2 NCAA teams right off the bat. It didn't help us either. And we had to learn. But, again, our guys were resilient. They listened. They got better. And we had a great, for us to finish like we did, for the guys to feel good, for the guys to, to have the spring, summer, and fall that they had, I feel pretty good about it. But we just, we're going to have to do it on the court.
I was here when you pushed the team that went on to win the national championship to the last minute.
Yes.
And all they did was, roll through the national championship.
Yeah, and I, we joked all summer. The first time Baylor beat us by infinity. The second time they beat us by infinity plus, if there is such a thing. And the last game, it was Nigel has the ball and it's a 1-possession game and he thinks he's going to get fouled and he launches one up there. I don't know what the heck, but, so, you think of that improvement. Now, obviously, they went through no practice, COVID, but, our guys made improvement. And now you got to remember, they didn't play the day before. We played 12 hours before that and then had to come back and play another game. So, again, beating Oklahoma, beating TCU twice, beating Iowa State, feeling good about ourselves. A lot of positives, but again, we're going to have to do it on the court.
That was K-State coach Bruce Weber. Let's wrap up today's visit to Big 12 Media Days at T-Mobile Center with a portion of my conversation with Baylor's Scott Drew. He arrived in the Big 12 the same year as Bill Self, 2003, but under entirely different circumstances. Baylor was in the process of getting crushed by the NCAA for multiple infractions by the previous regime. And in Drew's third year, the team was banned from playing non-conference games. But through excellent recruiting and coaching, Drew and Baylor quickly rose through the ranks. They made the NCAA tournament in 2008 and the regional finals in 2010 and 2012. Last season, Baylor won it all. The Bears joined Kansas as the only Big 12 teams to win NCAA men's titles, and I started off our conversation by asking Drew what life has been like since beating Gonzaga in April. I just want to know what life is like as a national champion, man.
I recommend it for everybody. So it is a blessing. It's a great platform and opportunity to just talk about what your players achieved, the programs achieved, give your fans in Central Texas and the state of Texas a chance to brag and feel good about winning the championship, because it's so hard to do in any sport. And at the same time, it does make life a lot busier because there are opportunities you want to take advantage of. But we call those championship problems. So those are good problems to have. And our staff's done a tremendous job in taking full advantage of those opportunities to talk about our players.
And on the recruiting trail, I mean, it's not that you obviously been recruiting great forever, but does this put it gives you something more to talk about? No question. And the Final Four to the national championship, just the difference from how players perceive you when you call, and it's when you first take over a program, you hope one day you get to a point where you can ask a recruit who's really talented, like, do you have a dream school? And they're like, yeah, Baylor, and you're like, okay, that's a good school. So that's really neat to see the evolution and just see how young people really admire the players we've had and what they've achieved. Isn't it also a confirmation of everything that you've taught and your style of play and the player you recruit? And really, I mean, to win the national championship the way you guys did is, to me, I look at that as, the Baylor way has worked pretty well.
Yeah, and definitely helps with when you tell your freshmen or sophomores this is what we do and we've had success with it, they believe it a little more. But I tell you, we've really been blessed because players always believe players more than coaches, and when our past players, they've done such a great job of being around and in the summertime and pouring back into the program, and they say and reinforce what we've told them or emphasized to them. That's like a proud parent, when you got an older child who's babysitting and they tell the younger child exactly what you say and they don't know you're listening. You're like, yes, I've done something right, or they've gotten it, and that carries a lot more weight with their players.
And I was thinking even the idea of redshirting guys, which you do, and others,
And again, just being able to point out to players, hey, you can redshirt. It doesn't mean you're not any good, or doesn't mean that you're not going to have a successful career. This won't help you down the road. Look what we've had and how it's helped them. So again, every situation is different. We're in a society, everybody wants it here now, but it does give you context and something to work with.
It's also kind of interesting that you're, at least the perception in the preseason is you're still chasing people.
Yeah. Well, and that's the beauty of the Big 12. I mean, you've covered the Big 12, been one of the Big 12 advocates, and you just you feel like every year you keep telling the nation. I mean, we've been the best conference since 2014. Even with the teams leaving and the new additions, we're still analytically the best conference. And you just want, as a coach in the Big 12, you want people and fans across the country just to appreciate Big 12 basketball and how competitive and hard it is, and what great coaches, players, schools we have in the Big 12.
That's going to do it for today. Thanks to our SportsBeat KC production staff of Beth Welsh, Monty Davis, Jeff Rosen, and Chris Fickett. Links to stories about the Big 12 from Media Days, written by Jesse Newell, Gary Bedore, and Kellis Robinette, can be found in the show notes and on kansascity.com. Hey, let's talk about the morning sports edition. If you're not seeing it, you're really missing out. On kansascity.com, you go to the Stars e-edition. That's a replica of the printed newspaper on your screen that comes with your digital subscription. Well, now there is an updated sports section produced separately that goes along with it. When you open the e-edition, there's a box in the upper right-hand corner that says All Editions. Click on that and you can access, starts, on a slow day, 15 pages, could be as many as 50 pages, depending on the day. Maybe you get the link in your email. I do, and it's there by about 6 a.m. every morning, but however you get it, it's access to complete coverage of the previous day's sports news, features, statistics, everything. It's fantastic. Hey, thanks for reading the Star and listening to our podcast lineup. You're helping support the best sports and news coverage in Kansas City, and we couldn't produce programs like SportsBeat KC without you. We'll be back on Thursday with another episode.